Thanks again for coming back. Hope you enjoyed your lunch. Hope you enjoyed this morning's session. I think it was pretty valuable. It was great and really good. So many questions this morning, which is really good. And we've all been chatting, and we'd much rather keep it like that as well, so that if you've got something to say, just stick your hand up and we'll jump to it, because it's more important that you get the relevant information that's in your head at the moment and the answer to that question than us maintaining control of what's talking. So carry on like this morning, and just when there's stuff that pops into your head, just shout or stick your hand up so bring the mic to you so everybody can hear you. So as this morning, that's the hashtag Big Music Exposed. If you are doing anything on socials around anything that's said or what you're taking from the day as well, on behalf of the Big Music Project. That's me. I want to know now. That's about the third time you've heard that. And that's Sam. It's about the third time you've heard that as well, so we don't really need to know. And as we've said right along, that's what this day revolves around, trying to ensure that you can have a lifelong career in the creative industries so that you are earning money from doing what you love and what your passion is. And as I said this morning, this is why this afternoon's panel is about the promotion of a creative enterprise. And as I said again this morning, that whole concept of sound formed in a vacuum, it's a waste of time. Nobody can ever hear it. So you've got the creative ideas, you've got the creative thoughts. You've heard all the people this morning talking about working with creative people. And now what we're going to look at this afternoon is how you let other people know about your creative enterprise, how you market yourself, how you promote yourself. And that promotion can be you as an individual, as a self-employed or a freelancer, selling your product to somebody, or it could be you within an organisation selling yourself within an organisation and letting everybody within that organisation know what your skill sets are, so you're fully utilised within that as well. So it's basically self-promotion and the skills and the tactics and the tools that revolve around you promoting yourself. So I'm just going to introduce you to the panellists, and I've put them there in alphabetical order from the first name, and then realised that it was all males at the top and females at the bottom. So I apologise for that, ladies. And I think I'd changed that. I obviously hadn't. So I'll actually do it from left to right instead. So directly, got Brad Cummins, who's the owner of Tiny Rebel Brewing. Got Sam from the Public Space in Newport as well, who I think you probably know. Got Ben Harris from MP Clubs as well in Newport. Got Steph Knight from Domino PR, who's driven up from Exeter this morning for us, who does online PR and radio promo. And then Sam on the end as well. So I haven't gone into too much depth with what each of the members of the panel do, because that's kind of what we're going to lead from as well, because what I'll ask the panel now is kind of like, what is your job role realistically? Because I think that'll probably explain more about what you do to the audience than probably me just saying, you do this, you do that. So, start with you, Brad.
Cheers, Mark. Right, so I'll just tell you a bit about my background quick. So I didn't do A-levels, done GCSEs, wasn't allowed back to do A-levels. So I went into college, and I went to Nash College, just around the corner, to do a music technology course. Didn't finish it, dropped out, and when I got myself an apprenticeship in air conditioning. Didn't finish that either, dropped out of that. But found myself back in that similar industry, but off the tools in the office. So we started off as an office junior engineer. So kind of worked my way up from there, actually finished the course, got myself a HND in building services engineering when I got a bit older, and went from there. And I then started homebrewing with my brother-in-law. So we started homebrewing as a hobby while having a full-time job. Did that for a few years, thought we were getting good at it. We were making so much beer at home, we were giving it out to people, and the feedback we were getting was really good. So from that idea and from a passion of that, we decided to put a business plan together. Did that, went and got some investment, and opened a brewery 5.5 years ago. So kind of where we are now, from the two of us setting that up, where we've got the brewery, we've got 3 bars, we employ around 110 people. So my current role now is changed dramatically, you know, from 5.5 years ago, from literally doing everything, you know, making cups of teas, delivering beer, selling it, brewing it, making it, invoices, everything, to now really kind of managing a team. So yeah, so that's a bit of my background. I'll pass you on to Sam.
I run La Pub, which is a music venue in town. I started out at 16 in a band, fell in love with a venue, persuaded them to give me a job. Started out as a glass collector because they wouldn't let me behind the bar because I partied too hard, apparently, and I wasn't allowed near the alcohol. That was fun. One of the bar staff quit, I got a bar job. The manager was an alcoholic and got fired, so I became assistant manager. The manager then ran away with all the money, so I became the manager and just ended up running a venue. But I walked into that venue at 16 and went, this is me, this is all I want to do. And that's basically what I've done for 20 years. At the moment, I think what Brad said about changing roles is really important, because at the moment I do the booking, the cleaning of the toilets, the stock, the staff management. The further your career progresses in the creative industries, the more you're going to find yourself dealing with people who specialize. But at the beginning of your career, you need to bear in mind that whenever you're approaching somebody within a small business, yes, your gig or whatever you're doing is important to them, but they've probably got to do a stock take and a rota and the wages and clean some toilets. So just be patient with people in small venues until you reach a point when you're dealing with somebody that specializes. That's a really important thing. That's about it, I think.
So I'm Ben Harrison from the MP Clubs. I've been doing this a long old time, and I see a lot of familiar faces around the room. I've been doing this for about 16 years, and I started like a lot of people do. You fall in love with music, you fall in love with the idea of creative industries. I got into events management by being in the worst band in the world, and they were awful. And no one's going to give you a gig when you're in that kind of band, because you're terrible. So sometimes you've got to make moves happen for yourself. So I started putting our own all-dayers on in TJs, which were underage all-dayers for all ages. Made moves happen for ourselves. From there, kind of left the band because I realised how terrible they were, but kind of kept with the passion, which was the live event side of things. Now I work for MP Clubs. We've got 6 venues based in Newport City Centre. We've also got outside interests in Cardiff, and we do kind of outside projects from the venues as well. So I've found that as time's gone on, in the role that I'm in, which is the gig management, it's also the creative design, it's also a lot of creative marketing for the business, from cocktail menus through to actually promoting individual artists, DJs and gigs and club nights. You find yourself kind of trying to keep up with changes in technology, changes in the industry on a local and a national level, which I think is very, very important, because where you're coming in, you should be aware of how things work, but you should also be aware of how you can become adaptable, especially when dealing with larger gig venues or smaller enterprises.
Hello. I've drove a long way for this. So better be interested in what I'm saying. No, I'm joking. So I didn't really want to work in music. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I went to college and did dance and drama because I wanted to be a Disney princess. True story. And then got pregnant. So that was that out the way. Had a baby. Then met a guy in a venue, local venue, just out on a night out, and he worked for a local magazine. So got chatting to him, got his email address, and then ended up contributing to his magazine, which is called Hit the Floor magazine. And then I kind of worked my way up over a couple of years, and then ended up editing the rock and metal side of the website. And then my boyfriend at the time said to me, well, what do you want to do? You know, you're like 22, 23. What do you want to do? Do you want to be a journalist, or what do you want to do? So he got me an internship at a company called Big Life Management in London. All I did was make tea, literally. And the guys moaned about it every time. And then I didn't really like the management side of things. It's too much. Like, you have to be super organised to do PR, but it was just like too much pressure, and I didn't like it. So there was a PR company there used to be in the management team called Work It Media, and I did it for them for a couple of weeks and absolutely loved it. And then that was it. So I thought, well, I can talk a lot, so PR's definitely my way forward. I can chat to people on the phone for hours and then think, like me and Mark, we have our conversation and we'll talk about a million different things. Because Mark used to manage a bank called Mathematics and they decided to break up, which is great. So then I worked loads of different other PR workshops and stuff and internships and just taught myself how to do it basically, because I never went to university, never went to college because having a baby. So I used to sleep on sofas in London, sofa surf for weeks on end just to know what I'm doing. And I got offered a job to work in London and I was going to move up there, but I don't like London. It's too busy for me. Devon's quiet and it's nice. So that's why a lot of people think that I'm based in London and there's more than just me doing it, because I do offer print, online, radio and TV promotion, so I do the whole package. But that's because I've taught myself how to do it. Once you can know how to do online, everything else just falls into place. So, yeah, that's me.
You guys know what I do. So. And what a really interesting point from that is the fact that, everybody has stayed where they lived and where they were from to run their business. And now all of them are working internationally with international acts and an international network. So where you come from is no barrier to where you want to go. Yeah, everybody is working globally and choosing to live locally because that's where they choose to live. I think that's just really salient point to soak in. You can be whoever you want to be globally from wherever you choose to live, which is brilliant in this day and age with digital communication. So, I heard my story earlier, so about salient advice that I took on board as well when I was starting out as an A&R, and key advice that you think, right, that's actually a philosophy that I need to use as the basis of the way I work. So if I can, are there any key mentors or key advice that you've been given on your career progression that you think was really useful to you and you think is a useful kind of philosophy to live by?
Anyone else want to go first?
My life philosophy is past the book.
My nan.
Yeah?
My nan once said to me, find a job that you like and you will never feel miserable in work. You still do. You still have to do things you don't want to do, but then you get to do things that you do want to do. So if you know what it is you want to do, just work at it, because if you love it, you'll make it work.
That's exactly what we said this morning, isn't it? It's a case of if your work is your passion and you enjoy it, it feels a lot less like work than doing a job where you really don't like it, because then it feels like work.
I think mine would be, so when we set up the brewery, we started off kind of making beers that we wanted to brew, wanted to drink, and branding them as stuff that we were interested in. About 3 or 4 months in, when we started kind of picking up a little bit of speed locally, everyone started flooding us with ideas and going, you should make that, you should make that, you should make that. So we turned around one day and said, okay, we will. We made it, and no one bought it. So I think one thing is literally take advice off people, and listen to them, but stick to what your philosophy is and what you do. That's probably one of the main bit of advice that I could give, and it's something that we... Phones off, please. So it's something that we still know. It's, we kind of live by it. It's, we make what we want to make. We do whatever we want to do, and that's probably the best advice I could give.
I mean, in terms of mentors, there's a lot of people from the industry that you don't necessarily forge links with, but you kind of learn from in what they do. And I'm a strong believer in it's the actions of people, not words. When I first started getting into gigs, there's a gentleman called Simon Phillips who kind of gets a lot forgotten about in Newport. If you ever heard about anything about TJs, the team at TJs were great. John Secola was a great figurehead for what TJs was. But from a creative side, A gentleman called Simon Phillips was the guy who was actually promoting all the events there. So we hear about like Oasis comes to Newport or Kurt Cobain comes to Newport. A lot of that was driven by a guy like Simon Phillips. And one thing I learned just watching him work is it's about integrity. It's about being straight ahead. It's about being honest. There's times you've got to be professional, but at the same time, don't turn professionalism and think you've got to like lie to people. You've got to spiel them a line. Just be honest, go from the heart, but carry yourself correctly and do so.
Mine's my dad. He said to me, because obviously I had a baby really young, so he was like, when are you going to get a proper job? When are you going to get a proper job? And then I got on Radio 1, and then he was like, oh, so it is a proper job. So, yeah, he kind of kept asking me, you know, because I was doing like 3 jobs at a time before I got doing full-time PR. And there's a lady that, when I used to work for the magazine, I used to get interviews and stuff through her, called Emma Van Dytes, and she runs a company called Public City PR, and it's the biggest rock and metal company in the UK. And I kind of idolises her a little bit. She's really scary, like really scary, but you have to be organised in this job. Like, a woman can do 15 million things at once, can't she? So you'll find, no offence guys, that a lot of women own their own companies in PR, and men do as well, but it's more predominantly women. Don't know why. I think it's because women were organised. Don't know. But yeah, she's amazing. She does people like Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park, like the biggest bands in the UK. And for me, it's if I worked in that kind of area, it would be a lot easier if I'm not, because like, ring up Kerrang and be like, can I get Slipknot on the front cover? It's not exactly hard, is it? So I work for unsigned stuff, so I think mine is a lot harder to get people's attention. But I like that about it. I like having to nudge people and then being like, I told you so. I was right. But yeah, that's about it. Sorry guys, I don't mean to like insult you. You can do it, like, you know, you can do it.
You can do it. We just need to concentrate more, I guess, don't we? So, but on that, that's kind of like really straight away you said about needing to be organised to be in PR as well. And I guess all of you, with running your own businesses, it's kind of key to be organised as well, because you need to know that what you're doing and how you're getting paid for it, and that you are getting paid for it, which is the crux of all of it. So, what other key skills do you look for? And that it might actually be not so much in your role now, it's kind of like, you know, you are all managers and leaders or working for people and with people to promote them. So what is it that you look for as the key skills and traits of people that you want to work both for you but work with you as well? Because I guess we all kind of make a judgment on who we want to work with as on a freelance basis as well. So what are those key skill sets and strengths that you look for in the people that you want to both work with and employ as well?
So I'll jump on to the employ. So we employ around 110 people, and when we look for anyone new, you know, regardless whether it's in the bar, full-time job in the bar, or whether they're in our, you know, heading up our marketing department, we would rather employ someone who fitted within our culture of the business as opposed to necessarily their skill set. You can train people to get to certain levels, whether it be management or digital marketing, whatever it may be, but you can't rewire how someone is, basically. So that's what we look for is someone who will fit within our business. Motivation is a big one, you know, being kind of proactive, little traits really, you know. Our kind of core values as a business is quality, fun and friendly. And if you tick the fun and friendly part of it, then you're kind of halfway there with us. Because we know on the skill level then, which is probably the quality side, we know if you haven't got the skills, we can train you up to do that.
I think personally there's a really fine line between confidence and cocky. But if you can walk it, then you can walk into most jobs. Because for me, I look for confidence. I want you to come in and I want you to say, I can do this. But if you come in and you can say, I can do this and I can do it better than anybody else, then you can't, because everyone can do everything really well if they concentrate. It's a really fine line to walk. And for me, people that can walk that line are completely invaluable. So customers want the staff to be friendly. They don't want them to talk about themselves. It's just that's what I look for, is somebody who manages to walk that line. So, yeah.
I think you touched on a lot of the points that's already been talked about here, but for me, it's passion. Sorry, you got nothing there. I'm going to take it all. But it is about passion. It's about that kind of spark. I mean, one thing that you can bring to the table over any other person in anything that you do is yourself. No one is you. So if you can filter that creativity, if you can filter that inspiration and show that in yourself, that's very, very attractive, and it's often not talked about in that sense. So do you, be you, and express you. Because if you hide that talent, or you hide that spark, you hide that creativity, you hide that passion away, you just see a shell of a person. So just don't be afraid to let that shine.
Passion. No, seriously. I've had a lot of interns. I'm kind of a control freak. You probably got that across from me anyway. And I haven't got to the stage. I've been in business for 5 years, and I haven't got to the stage of employing somebody yet, because I like to make sure everything's done right. So for me, when I look for interns, someone's just got to love music. I mean, the bands and the artists that I work with, I love, and I believe in them. I don't take on anybody that I don't like, because I can't sell that to someone on the phone or in an email if I don't like it. Because that's why when I used to work for Big Life Management, I was working for Scissor Sisters, and I just hated everything they were doing. So I couldn't put passion into it because I didn't like it. So you have to like the genre of music, whatever, if you want to work in PR that you're doing, because if you don't, you just come across as dead in an email, and you don't sound like, you have to be like, oh yeah, they're really great and blah, 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 really excitable. Otherwise you come across as a bit like they won't read you. Because obviously I work for unsigned stuff, it's got to read really well, otherwise they just fob it off and you don't want to listen to you. So passion is definitely a big thing. And another thing, which is really weird, I know, you have to know how to work Excel. I know it's a really small thing, but admin in PR is everything. I absolutely hate that's the only part of the job I don't like, but it has to be done. So if you can work Excel, that's the only two things I look for.
I will reiterate what you were saying about confidence and really analysing yourself and seeing strengths in your weaknesses, because some things that you'd be really self-conscious of or feel like you're feel a bit intimidated because of it actually are your strengths. And if you really play on it, it'll help you stand out from the rest and get that confidence that you were talking about. Yeah.
Sam, actually, while you've got the mic, because obviously you're juggling 2 jobs at the moment, with having a daytime job at PRS, but then also working your artistry and developing that as well. What do you think are those key transferable skills, the skills that you absolutely have to utilise during your day job, which then also you can transfer into the creative work that you do as well?
Exactly what Steph was saying about organisation. Everyone's different. For me, I need to physically write it. I'm very kinesthetic. I can't have a computer beep and tell me I have to do something. I have to proper manually get it in my head. Your reputation, like I was saying before, means everything. So punctuality, even if you are shattered and working 3 jobs, being there fresh-faced, wide-eyed, bushy-tailed, and just constantly just being yes, yes, even though you're drained. That got me a lot of my gigs and helped me climb the ladder a lot in the BV scene, the backing vocals. But transferable skill sets, literally organisation and punctuality for me are the main things that kept me working and getting the gigs. Yeah, and the basics, like you were saying with day jobs, like for me working at PRS, I didn't touch Excel since high school, and I was working jobs in like Soho House, you know, trying to meet like interesting people to network with. And then as soon as I got in there, they were making me do like spreadsheets and stuff, and then I had to learn my percentages all over again. So it's just because you want to like be the next like mainstream grime star, it doesn't mean on your climb you don't have to do the dirty work as well. You need as many tools in your toolbox, basically. More the merrier.
I think what Sam said about being fresh-faced is really, really important, whether it's an internship or a gig or a job. The second you moan because you're tired because you did something else that wasn't that job, you're a write-off. I get staff coming in and they're like, oh my God, I went out last night, I'm knackered. I don't care. I'm a nice person, and I like to think I'm a decent boss. But if you stand behind my bar looking tired, moaning at me because you were at the beach all day or because you were out clubbing last night, then I'm not giving you shifts, because I don't want you in my bar moaning. I want you in my bar telling me how excited you are about the new beer we've got on tap and how excited you are about the gig that's coming up next month. So whatever it is that you go for, make sure that when you're there, that's your focus. That's what you're doing.
Another thing, if you want to do a 9 till 5, you don't work in PR. It's never 9 till 5. I don't mind being late in the mornings because I don't really like the mornings myself. So punctuality, not so much in that time. But if you're like, oh, I've got to work a Friday night, or oh, I've got to work a festival at the weekend, you get free passes to the festival. You don't just have to work, like each band that I've got that will play the festival, I'll work their press for an hour and then I can go off and do what I want. Do you know what I mean? So you don't like, you know, have like what you were saying about the passion to want to like to do it at different times of the day. Don't be like annoyed because you've got to work on a Friday night, you want to go out with your mates, because it's going to work in the long run. And then when you go to these shows and things and you're coming along with me to different things, you'll meet and you'll network into different people, and that's how you go forward to get more internships and more jobs. That's how I met most of the people that I ended up working with, was through going to everything, basically. I didn't sleep, just went to everything and meet as many people as you can and just be nice. Have a smiley face and they won't forget you.
I was just going to say, you won't sleep. If you want to work in the creative industries, you don't sleep.
I think you've got to think about points that have been raised here now. Okay? It's very easy to come to something like this and say, I'm a creative, I want to work in music, I want to be an artist. But the question is do you? Do you want the trappings of luxuries? Do you want the credibility of telling your friend, I'm the artist, I do this? Are you just really gassed about the idea of doing something rather than actually doing it? Ask yourself that. Because the people who are constantly hustling, like a guy like this Mauvais is constantly hustling. And that's why good things come to them. Because so often you see people who kind of sit back and kind of look at other success and say, why isn't that me? But what you don't see is how hard they grind behind the scenes. So ask yourself, do you want to work in the bar trade? Say goodbye to your weekends. Do you want the kind of freedom to go off and do other things? You might not get that. But on the plus side of it, do you want to be surrounded by music all the time? Do you want to continually improve yourself on an artistic level? Whether it's as a designer, whether it's as a camera crew, whether it's as a professional in that sense, singing, music, acting, rapping, being a musician in general. Because you're working in an industry that you chose because you love. But don't get there and realise that's not what you wanted. Don't fall out of love. Because if you do, just leave. You're not going to progress in yourself if you're not being honest.
Obviously, I'm all the way down in Devon, so finding an intern is pretty difficult. And for me, like when I was interning, it was never a thing as a paid internship. That was never a thing. So I used to have to pay to go from Exeter to London on the megabus, which was fantastic, 5 hours of your life, and then sleeping on a sofa and for like days on end to then learn what you're doing, you know? So, I mean, and then people would like apply to work with me and they'd be like, oh, but you're not paying me to do it, and you're not paying me for my expenses, and you're not paying this, this, and this. It doesn't work like that, mate. Do you know what I mean? You can walk up to you and be like, I've got a degree in this, I want to do this, but you've got no experience. So obviously I've got the experience, but I don't have the degree. So, I mean, both of them work for each other, but you just got to realise that not everything comes, like, gets handed to you on a plate. You know, you have to work for it. And if you really want to do it, you will do it. I mean, it took me 3 years working for free to get where I am now. But, like, my friends are jealous. They're getting up in the morning to work at 8 in the morning. And I'm like, yeah, I'm in bed, mate. Don't get up till, like, 11. I do some work till about 8 o'clock, and I go to bed. And I work from home. That's the comfort from working from home with my daughter, and I spend so much more time with her than I ever did. So you have to want it, regardless of the cost that it's going to make. In the long run, it will be worth it.
So, I think that kind of sums it up. I always say to artists or like execs who want to work in the music industry, it's not a 9-to-5 job. It's a lifestyle choice, and it does impact on everything. And that's not just the music industry, because I'm sure the brewing industry doesn't clock off at 5 o'clock and potter home and sit with its feet up at 5:15 watching Home and Away either, does it?
No, you gotta make You gotta make like sacrifice is a big thing. You gotta if you're not willing to make any sacrifices, whether it be family, social, then you're not gonna. You may as well go to a 9-to-5. You know, that's kind of sums up, I think, for me.
I think in the early days of Tiny Rebel, Brad used to get texts from me at 9 p.m. at night saying, I need beer tomorrow. And first thing in the morning, he'd be there with the beer because he was passionate about brewing. So he'd turn up with the beer that I ordered. And then that's why Brad is where he is, because when he needed to give up his family time to make his business work, he did. We ran out of beer 9 o'clock on a Thursday night. Weekend was coming up. Brad delivered 9 a.m. on a Friday.
Yeah, you usually have to wait half hour for you.
Yeah. I was in bed. I worked till 4 a.m. I don't get up in the morning.
And that is as well, because all four, five, because Sam's, like as he spoke to you earlier about his story and what he's been through to get here as well. Drive and resilience. And what we spoke about earlier, it's the case of you've got two choices. You either stay in the game and then opportunity stands more chance of you coming your way, or you stop playing the game and then you're just accepting that you will never be able to chase that role. So what you've got to do is have that passion and that drive and that resilience. That the worst thing about the creative industries is they're so driven by opinion. And there's a phrase that like opinions are like arseholes. Everybody's got them, but like no one's is better than anybody else's. It's just like, no, just because somebody has an opinion on your art does not mean that your art, you should stop making that art because theirs is a negative opinion. Yeah. The best creators of art do it for the creation. Yeah. And that's when the drive and the resilience needs to come in. Yeah. You've got to stay in the game because you want to be proving to people that you are doing that. And everybody's, as we said earlier, everybody's levels of success are different. Yeah. If you're aiming to be Eminem or Rihanna, then you're going to have to work hard to do it. But, yeah, that's what's going to drive you onwards. Because if that's the position that you want to get to, you want to be perceived as the best in the world, you are going to have that drive, the resilience. Every time somebody tries to put you down, you say, no, I'm going that way. And you learn to pivot. And it's a case of like, shit, I'm going down a dead end. Let's just look over there. I don't have to stick to that particular route. It's all on my journey. The passion is still there. Yeah. Just because somebody tries to say, no, you can't go that way, you don't have to accept that as an answer. And like I say, ordinarily, it's people's opinions that they're giving you as advice. That's just their opinion. Yeah. You have your opinion, they have their opinion, it might differ. You now have access to a global market where gatekeepers are becoming less and less important, and you can have access to more people. But as we said earlier, it's never been easier to get your art out there, but it's never been more difficult to get it seen. That's what I want to pick up on now, because the promotion of a creative enterprise is how you get other people in far-flung parts of the world to actually know what your story is and know what you're talking about, what you're going to do. So I just wanted to kind of look at how important you think the story of your creative enterprise is, and how that impacts on how you're going to sell your story and promote your story.
Yeah, background story is massive, and it's probably one of our unique selling points, being, you know, family run, set up by myself and my brother-in-law. You know, my brother-in-law Gaz got into it because of his granddad. They were living, he's from Blackwood, and his granddad used to brew or home brew just out of necessity, really, because back then, you know, alcohol wasn't really affordable. You know, so that's our background story, and it's quite a unique one that we never came from the industry before. You know, we weren't in the brewing industry. We had to learn it. You know, and we learned it. We're still learning it as we go. But we spent 2 years, you know, when we put the business plan together, grafting, go into breweries. We jump onto brewery tours and you know, end up filming it, just to try and get the insight as to how it works, you know, on a commercial scale. You know, we knew the home brewing side of it, but how things work on the commercial scale is to really know your industry. But, you know, that's probably something that can be passed over to the music industry also, to know how the scale of it is. Because we now, we sell beer not just nationally, but internationally. We actually sell more beer in Norway than we do in Wales. So, you know, there's a huge market out there, you know. So as well as what we did early days was set up locally, because local is your kind of your bread and butter. Newport for us is still our bread and butter. You know, we're now able to take that story out there.
I think the story behind Le Pub, it's quite simple. It's a music venue. It was set up by a guy that liked music. I ended up running it because he fucked up. But then you have to grow and you have to expand. Like, the venue we were in was too small to have any other spaces, any other activities happening. So our lease was up, the landlady was selling. We've moved to somewhere that has the potential to be 7 times the size. We've got 3 floors to expand into, and we want to put in studios, and we want to put in rehearsal space, and we want to put in galleries, and we want to put in tiny cinemas where you can watch documentaries that only 5 of you want to see. But it's all right, because it's just a tiny room, so you can have it. And just things like that. And I think the story of where we're at now is about expansion. And, I mean, alcohol and music, to a certain extent, has changed. People used to come out on a Thursday to watch local bands, and you'd get the same people, and it didn't matter who was playing. You had your band night, and you had your crowd. It doesn't work like that anymore. I read a survey a couple of weeks ago about the way people work, their minds work recently. You have to be event-led. You have to be activity-led. People don't just want to come out anymore. They want to... They want something to have their photo taken with for their Instagram story. They want something fucking cool to be happening. You can't just stick some beer on tap and a local band and people don't come. So we've had to grow and expand. And I think that's the main part of our story. Where we're at now is expansion.
I think it's about depth. When you look at stories like that, can you hear me? Yeah. So I think it's about depth. When you look at kind of the face value of something, like Sam said, a gig is just a gig, but people don't want just a gig anymore. They want to have an experience. They want to feel part of something that's immersive beyond just someone who's on stage singing at them. When people buy a beer, why is there a craft beer trade? Why is there independent breweries? Because people don't want to just drink a tinny of Carlsberg all the time. Sometimes they want something with a bit more depth. They want something with a bit of story. They want something with a bit of history. That's what it comes down to. I mean, from my perspective, when you put venues, we started off as one little noodle bar, which didn't even intend to be a music place. The noodles were great. But it was a noodle bar that didn't intend to become a live music venue, and all of a sudden DJs started playing and people started drinking, and then people weren't buying noodles. So then they opened up a building next door to start selling the noodles. Well, the bar was overflowing, and then people stopped buying the noodles there, and they're like, "Oh, we'll do a gig then." And then people started coming to the gigs but not buying the noodles. So So essentially, we've got a lot of clubs which should have been noodle bars, but it's not a lot of people know that. But it's not like this massive company coming in. It's one person building and growing and making things happen in that kind of perspective. And it's like I say, it's all about the story. It's all about the experiences, how you grow as a person, how your art grows as you learn new things. Bring that in, bring the story, make that a part of what it is, because people are going to feel a lot more personal about what you do, whether you want to try and break into the industry as PR or artist management. Tell the story of the artist, tell the story of the bands, or if you want to get involved in a role where it's working in nights. Newport Club owner? Yeah. But then if we did, we would talk about what was happening right now, about how a bunch of people got together, all with different ideas, and collaborated. And that's what the point is. This is the story. You coming out today in your own time and making sure you're trying to develop yourself as a person, this is the grind. This is your story. And that's what it's all about. If we do this, if we all chipped in and did something together, we would come back and we would talk about what's happening right now. So make sure you are talking about it.
Go.
Because this will apply to all of you. Because in terms of music, how do you then take your story and incorporate it into music as a start, as an artist, as kind of starting up, or you've been doing music for about a year?
That's definitely a question for me.
Perfect.
Yeah. So.
I'll just
Yeah.
explain. So this is how I know Steph, is because the band that I was working with and co-managing with the managers of the Manic Street Preachers. So we were working on this band together. They played down in Plymouth. Steph went to see the band, started talking to the lead singer, who's also a kickboxer for Great Britain, and he's fighting in the world.
He's amazing. Amazingly talented guy.
He's fighting in the World Kickboxing Championships this weekend. But so that's part of his story. So he got talking to Steph, and then Steph was on the phone to me, kind of going, I know what we're doing now. I've got it, and I'm like, cool, you run with it. And that's such an important part of the story for an artist now. It's a case of like...
It happened by accident, really. Because I went to... It did. It happened by accident. I went to see who they were playing, like the main act, which they're called the 100. And I know the singer from Jacob for a long, long time, because he used to be in the industry, like doing all nosy things at Reading and Leeds before the band kind of exploded. So normally you get local bands play, and down in Plymouth, local bands are like, I don't know what they're like here, but they're like not great. It's like 2 that are pretty good. The rest of them, what they called, off the top of my head, I can't remember. I'll tell you in a minute. I can't remember. I worked for one of them, so obviously they're good. Yeah, so I just kind of stumbled in there and expected a local band, and then this guy with a tracksuit comes out rapping with rock music. I was like, wow, and it just blew me away. And it was so different, like a little bit like Asteroid Boys, I suppose, but I don't know, he just has complete different persona than you would expect. Someone like, and he's quite shy when you talk to him, but on stage he's a complete different person. And that's what we find most artists are like. And then that was it. I had to do the whole business card thing. I hate doing that because I feel like a right idiot. But I was like, here's my business card. You were really great. But and then that was it. I never thought he was going to email me, and he did. And then he emailed me the other day and said that I was the best PR company he's worked with, bless him. And that when he's moving on, he's going to do it with somebody else, which is really cool. So anyway. So the backstory thing, with me, because all artists I work with are unsigned, or with little independent labels, it is good to have a backstory, but for you starting off, before you go ahead and get management, before you get PR, before you get a booking agent or anything like that, it would be, you can do stuff on your own before you get to the point, because you'll get to a point when you think, I've done everything now, I can't do any more. So social media is a big, massive one. I'm a massive Facebook nerd. Like, when I started out in PR 5 years ago, it was a completely different scene to what it is now. So I've kind of like grown and learnt myself how to promote stuff on social media. So there'll be things that you won't necessarily know because you just have Facebook for your personal stuff. So there'll be things you don't know as a band that I will end up saying, you know, once you've eventually moved on to it. But BBC introducing is a massive, massive deal. Like, yeah, you only get paid on local radio, but you don't. Like, that local person in your area picks 3 bands or 3 artists per week to send to Hugh Stevens. So that's every single one all over the country gets sent to Hugh Stevens. And that's how one of my bands got paid by BBC Radio 1, was because they got picked by Hugh. It was that easy. And then a lot of people that also work for BBC work for other people. So Daniel P. Carter's producer, she does things for British Airways. So she picks like playlists and things for British Airways. So a band, 200 likes on Facebook, hadn't really done much. Oh, thank you. But then got played on British Airways radio because she liked them. So backstory is good, but you must, and then when you go into want to have PR, you have to be completely different. Like, I know it's silly to say this, but like the amount of band shots that I get sent, and it's like, we're in a forest, we're on a cliffhanger, we're on an edge, we're in a woods. I'm in a band, and it's just like, look how cool I am. It's the most boring shit ever. Like, please. Like, if I think it's boring, how am I going to sell you to other people? Do you know what I mean? So I had a band a while ago now, and they had press shots, and they were all stood in a tunnel, and they all had blindfolds on. Weird, but definitely different. So when I'm sending PR emails out to people, for people I want coverage for, I know it's really sad to say, obviously the backstory is important, but 9 times out of 10, they scan over the text and just look at the pictures. So you want to have something really, 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 really exciting. Oh, this is weird. Why have they got that? Or, you know, like a weird music video or something completely out there that's never been done before. That's how you get noticed straight off the bat. So obviously you need to have things done like BBC Introducing. You've been played on them numerous times. Other regional radio stations that you can get on. I mean, the guy who does BBC Wales, he's amazing, Adam Walton. He covers most of the stuff that I send him over. And he's got really good taste. It's not just necessarily rock music. He'll play all sorts. He had like a classical guy on the other day. And then another thing with BBC is they don't just send it to Hugh. They get to pick an act or a band like that they want to play at a festival. So a band I used to work with got picked to play Reading and Leeds. And then you've got Secret Garden Party, which has just finished now, but they played a stage there. You've got Festival, they also did stages there as well. So they've just done it this year for the first time at Boardmasters in Newquay. So they're expanding all the time to give artists that are just starting out a really big opportunity. So you can do things yourself straight off the bat, but when you've got to a bit, you can't get any further, that's when you have to get other people involved, because there's only so much you can do on your own, and you just want to be creative. You don't want to have to concentrate on all of the admin stuff. It's, you know, you just want to be what you're doing. So you've got to trust other people. I mean, when I did a workshop for BBC last year, and what's he called? Hat guy. Works for the BBC. What's his name? Charlie Sloth. He still, to this day, still is involved in his admin. Gets CC'd in all emails. He's like a massive control freak. I just couldn't believe it. The amount of stuff that he does, and he still has to be involved in everything. So you can still be involved, like you can still know what's going on, but it's good to just be able to concentrate on what you want to do and then let everybody else worry about it. You know what I mean? It's like with mathematics, they did what they wanted to do. Mark worried about everything else, and I worried about the promotion side of things, you know? Does that
Steph's 100% right, but when it comes to your weird and your wacky photo shoots to get attention, make sure you're still being you. Don't go off and pretend to be something you're not to get attention, because you can spot a fake. Anyone can spot a fake. So think of the weirdest part of you and then put that into your photo shoot. So maybe Steph and I are massive Disney fans. Dress up as Disney princesses. Amazing, gets attention. And it is who you are and what you love. So make sure you maintain yourself in your story. Don't have a fake story to get attention. You, like every single human on this planet, is really, really interesting. You have interests and you have likes and you have passions. Sell yourself in a way that other people aren't. So just be you.
Yeah. I forgot about that bit. Don't go naked. I get like, honestly, I got a press shot sent to me and this guy just had his pants out. I was like, mate, that's not good. It's not cool. And obviously, the music does get listened to. Technically, like 9 times out of 10 it does, but there's the odd person who will just scan a photo and go, no. But most people, all they concentrate on is visual stuff and then the music. So, which is good, you know.
I need a photo I can use to get people into gigs, because a Facebook event has got a cover photo, and if that cover photo isn't interesting, no one's going to bother clicking attend, no one's going to bother watching the videos in the event. So your photos need to be you, and they need to be interesting, and they need to, I don't know, I guess pop, which sounds a bit cliche, but it needs to pop.
I'm going to go a little bit further to 2 things. As well as photos for Facebook events, be aware how social media is changing as well. Live videos on event pages and things like that. Anything that you can package yourself together with to make yourself interesting and help promote it, sell you, help PR, talk good things about you. The other thing to be conscious of when you were saying about like how does the story of yourself come into it as an artist. I can see certain people around this room and I kind of know what some of you guys do. But don't get trapped into pigeonholing yourself. Don't say, I'm a grime artist, so I've just got to be a Stormzy knockoff. I've got to be...
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
As somebody who's obviously really knows a lot about the grime industry, if some of you have already been in touch, I'm thinking, how many of you have been in touch with any of the Newport, like, pubs, or have any of you performed in them, or like you're saying, you know them? Have you been involved already? So how do they take that forward then? Just thinking, are you open to like people coming forward for, so how does it work? Being like...
It's a bit iffy with grime now, isn't it? Based on the culture itself, around Newport, it's always been a bit iffy about the events.
You've got issues with Cardiff, but I'll come to that in a second if you want a bit on that.
I think approaching venues is really important. Most venues, I know Ben has and I have, we have a contact. On the website there's a contact, and there's also a tab for promoters and artist information, where you click that tab and you can see where we are, what we've got, what size room we've got, what kind of events we put on, and who to contact if you want to do that. So literally put together an amazing press pack, get the best photos you can, get the best videos you can if yourself's playing live. If you can and you've got mates that are desperate to make videos, get them to make a video for you, because that's exposure for their video and exposure for you. Put that together and email every venue in the country. Send that to every single venue in the country. Sell yourself. Play the numbers game. If you email 2,000 venues, at least 5 of them are going to give you a gig. And then the next time you email 2,000 venues, you can say, I played here, here, and here. And they'll go, oh, no way, they've played Liverpool and London. Let's give them a chance. And that time, 10 of those venues will give you a gig. And then the next time, you might get 100. And then before you know it, you've built yourself a tour. And in those cities, like the first time you play, 6 people might come. Next time, 50 people might come. So just keep selling yourself, keep working.
Good.
I was going to say, before you start selling yourself, how important is it to have your image, your story, your path correct when you put it through the email? So if I'm an artist, for example, and I'm putting myself for an email, how important is it for me to have like a really good music video, really good images, all my social media like on point? How important does that become really and truly as an artist then?
I would say it's about being correct with what you've got in the situation you are. There shouldn't necessarily be boundaries where you have to have like a checklist of like 10 things all done before you even send an email. Just make sure when you send that email, you come correct and you come right. Don't just send a message on Facebook at 4 a.m. saying, gig, question mark. Again, honestly. No, but at the same time, if you struggle with that, because I'm going to come from, I have a disability, so I struggle with certain things. So if you know that in advance, sit down with someone, have them verbally communicate it out, even if it's just an email. And on emails, remember someone was saying about the positives on things? don't send a Facebook message saying, "Oh, I've got to talk to you in person because I can't write," or it doesn't come out nice. Just say, "I'd like to have a face-to-face meeting to talk about this," and then that's it. As long as it's structured right, it's all good. And then have that face-to-face. But don't make an excuse in the email why it's not good, because that just puts a negative idea. But I was going to say, in terms of like the press packs and things like that, so on in this most original point, just ask yourself what you do and what genre you're in, and then ask yourself why you do certain things. If you're kind of an MC and you're just doing freestyles in like a really shady alleyway, ask yourself why. Why are you doing that?
Yeah, why are you in that alley?
And it's like, oh, I've seen.
Anyone in that alley watching you? No.
I've seen like, oh no, but I've seen like these MCs do freestyles, right? So, yeah, but why though? If you're an acoustic artist, I think there's genre, but I don't think you should feel limited by. If you feel that's you, that's fine. But I wouldn't necessarily do something that you feel you have to because that's your lane. Don't get pigeonholed like that.
You say that, but like when I worked for Hit the Floor, Stormzy was kind of like really underground at that point and was never signed to a label and then got a top 10 hit out of the blue. And that's because he went down alleyways and did that and did battles and did it and worked really hard in London to be able to get where he is. That's what Stormzy did. But that's just what he did. Doesn't mean that's what you've got to do. But I mean, there is other ways. There is other ways to do it other than what's black and white. And obviously, you don't, we're starting a new band, let's get press shots right now. It's not really work like that. You can just still do it on your iPhone, get a little picture as you're starting off, because the phones are really good at the minute for like pictures and stuff. And what I found out in the last couple of months, been, like I said, studying Facebook, like YouTube is kind of going out. Like, I can notice it, that it's going to be gone. Like, I mean, because I predicted that print would not be a thing. Like, when I started my company, I was like, 5-6 years' time, print's not going to be a thing. And so many printed magazines have folded now because everyone just goes online. So people are like, oh, but I want to be in Rock Sound. It's like a benchmark. I've got to be in Kerrang, or I've got to be in NME or whatever. But, it's just like a benchmark to get there. But everybody else, you need to do everything else before you even get considered. And Facebook video is the new thing. Like, it's like so important now. I mean, you don't have to have a music video. You could just get like you rapping or singing or, a band live and just get it filmed and put on your Facebook. And it's completely different because with YouTube, you have to watch it for at least 30 seconds for it to count as a view. So if you watch it for 10, that's no view. Yeah, YouTube, that's why I think it's going out. Yeah, but in Facebook, that's what they do it. Because when you're scrolling on your feed and then you accidentally press something and you've played a video that you never wanted to, that's a hit. That's a bit false, really. Yeah, but I think it's really good because when you've done things like that, it's easy for me to sell you. So an artist that I used to work with, a singer-songwriter, or still work with, sorry, he posted his YouTube video first and we premiered it with Clash magazine, which is one of the biggest company magazines in the country. Got about 2,500 hits in 2 days. So then we posted it on Facebook, 25,000 in a day. You can say that, but if I say in an email, I'm working for this person, he's got 27,000 views in 24 hours, do you want to do something? They're going to go, yeah.
I think Steph's point is that even though it's not legit...
Even though it's not legit and you're not official, it still makes you sound great, Yeah. People can buy Facebook likes. You can buy Twitter. You know what I mean? It's just that's one of the things that's always going to happen. You can buy YouTube views. It's something that the industry's always had, but it still counts if it's Yeah. 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 Exactly. But then the good thing about YouTube is it will give you other people like the person you're listening to. So you'll get up in the box down on the right-hand side, which is also really good. Sorry, we had a question.
I just wanted to think, it's all a little bit about, I'm not sugarcoating, but I've played gigs, there's 6 people there, but the person that sees the photo of me on the stage doesn't know that there's 6 people in the audience.
I want to know how many people have been watching my music already. Not just like, I've got 20,000 views already. It's not 20,000 views. I don't know what I'm building on this. I'm not legitimate.
Like with Ed Sheeran, I saw Ed Sheeran.
I'm going to say that's kind of a fair point in terms of you don't know how many people are actually there. In terms of the views that you get, you may get 20,000 views for one video.
Yeah.
Really and truly, it's going to be about the feedback that you get from that 20,000.
It's the feedback and the comments and the people talking about it.
Yeah, wait. Don't worry about the 20,000 views, yeah. Worry about those 10 people that are going to message you and say, hey, I just watched that video and I really rate it.
Yeah, that's what you've got to think about.
That's what you've got to think about. They're the people that then, when you want to sell it, when you want to sell music, or you've got your music on Apple Music or Spotify, they're the ones that are going to add it to their music.
And then when you talk to like music venue, you can say, I've done this, I've posted this video and it's got so many likes. They're going to more likely to book you than they are if you haven't done anything like that. Do you know what I mean? They like... I know, another thing with websites and things, this is the other side of the likes and Facebook and stuff. Like, when I work with bands online, they're like, oh, I really want to build this website because it's got 25,000 likes on Facebook, right? May have 25,000 likes on Facebook, but there's a website called Alexa, and that would tell me which is the website that's highest hitting in the country or in America or in what European city you want to approach with, that even though it hasn't got that many likes, is still getting loads and loads of views because of the traffic to the website, so it tells me the traffic. So the website might just have 100 likes, but you're getting loads more views than you would having anybody else because it's such a high-hitting traffic website. Does that make sense? So sometimes you can't read into the likes, but other times it sounds good when you're trying to sell something.
I think it's really bothering you, the whole integrity versus selling yourself on likes things. And I think what's important to remember is the integrity has to come with your art. Your art has to be completely you. You have to have complete integrity within your art. But, like this lady said, sugarcoating it to sell that art, to get you to where you need to be, to make your art financially viable, sometimes you've just got to put a little sugar on it. Yeah. The point is that if Steph sent me an email saying, hey, I work for this band and we're currently building a tour and I'm doing PR, can you put them on? And she said you had 100,000 views on Facebook, I'm more likely to go, I'll go and have a look then. Because it doesn't matter if they actually watched it. The fact is that your social media reach put it into that many people's feeds. Irrelevant of whether they took the time to watch it, your social media reach was so high that many people, even if they scroll past, that says to me that when you put out your tour announcement, you have the same social media reach and people are going to come because you've put out a poster for your tour. It's not.
Automate my laptop to just refresh, change the IP, play the same YouTube video. Yeah. Doesn't matter what platform it is. I can be sitting here right now, just basically making fake views on a video that I recorded earlier today. I don't know how many is fake or how many is real, but it's about perception. And it's about putting yourself forward in the best way. And it sounds perfect on reach.
I've just got to jump in because Emily's got to say something before she has to dash.
Talking about social media, which follows on, for you guys that are artists and have got tracks ready that you would like to send to us, can you keep an eye on our Big Music and Capital, the Music Potential websites and all of our socials, because we're going to be running a homegrown competition. So all tracks will be judged by one of the extra DJs, and then we're going to do a homegrown top 10 on the website. We can't get airplay at the moment, so please don't message me saying, can you get me an extra? I can't do it. But your track will be listed. We can then embed the track and links into wherever you've got it. So it's a good little outlet. It's a starting block for us. So keep an eye on our socials and then send us your material and spread the word.
Thank you for coming as well.
Safe journey. Okay, so excuse me. So I just want to kind of knock it on to the next thing, which is, it's all what we're talking about now as well. Because, so we've talked about the story, and I guess we've been talking about brand awareness, and yeah, everybody on the panel has a very strong awareness of their brand as well. And yeah, I went to see Brad at the brewery last week just because like I'd fallen in love with Tiny Rebel's branding, and then I found their beers, and I love that as well. But like, it was the branding that was the first thing that I saw. It's like, why does anybody buy anything? What makes you stop? Yeah, so you're not scrolling through. What makes you go, love that? And then I wanted to explore more. So that story is part of your own brand. So, but bearing in mind now that you're all looking at getting your brand and your story out there as well, which is something that we're going to touch on tomorrow as well, I'd just like to ask what you think are the key tools that you utilise to get your brands out into the public domain, and what vehicles for your brands have you found effective that, yeah, the artists can easily latch onto? So easily accessible tools that, yeah, anybody can access to get their brand out there. Like I say about the social media reach. So what do you think are the best methods of promotion of an artist or a brand or an enterprise?
Yeah, social media is the big thing, but I think I'll let kind of these guys talk about that. So what I'll probably touch on is assets. So probably your biggest asset is your music or you. So for us, as a brewery, our biggest asset was our beer. So what we would rather do, what we did and what we had to do early on was to try and get ourselves into places. We would send people free beer just to get it in front of people. I never got free beer. So that's what we used to do. So we used to target places in London, Edinburgh, Manchester, because they're the places that we knew that if we kind of, if we got a little hook there, it was a direct in. And being us, you know, that's our logo. So we're a very kind of urban, rough around the edges brand, based a lot around that graffiti. When we created our brand, it was, we never wanted to do the traditional Welsh thing with daffodils and dragons. Everyone's done it, right? Not really, nothing new. So yeah, what we had to do was look at what's our biggest asset, and our asset was our brand and our product. So that's what we did. And what we did, we invested in sending people free stock very early on, not locally, sorry Sam, but around. To just so people, so it's just offering that, and I think that was a big stepping stone for us.
I think, like, I'm 41, I'm really old, I don't understand computers that well. As far as I'm aware, Twitter is still like one of the only social media platforms that shows tweets when they're supposed to show up, not 4 days later, not 3 days later. Instagram, I get posts from my friends and it tells me they're at the top of Pen y Fan, and they're not. They sat next to me in a pub and they did that 5 days ago, and that's the first time it's shown it to me. So I think we've got a marketing person, and she knows all about, Steph probably knows as well, like algorithms on Facebook and how to word things and how to put your videos and which way Facebook shows things. Facebook have made it really difficult deliberately for businesses and artists to promote themselves without paying, because they want you to pay. And although it's not a lot of money, you know, they catch you with these like, oh, for £2 you can reach 2,000 people. Before you know it, you've spent 100 quid. And that is a lot of money when you're not earning a lot of money. And Facebook have done that deliberately. So if you can educate yourself on which platforms actually put your stuff out there and how to get them to do that, I think that's really important.
If you talk about computers online and offline, it's about word of mouth. Just based on reputation, the way people talk about you, talk positive things about you, that's always a good thing. If you create a bad reputation for yourself through one way or another, if you're on a lineup, someone might just not go to that show because they just don't want to be near you. And then all of a sudden, they just don't want to be on that lineup. So be careful about surrounding yourself with those kind of poisonous people. If you take that same idea online, it's about viral content. I mean, realistically, How many of you people knew who Roadman Shack was before he did that Tingles video? That Roadman Shack Tingles video. How many of you were like following him as a comedian before he went big? How many people did you see on Facebook not even realizing he was a comedian, thinking it was a genuine fire in the booth? People were like, who's this MC? And it's like they didn't even know he's a character. That's why it works, because you don't even know he's a comedy character. People just took it legit to begin with. And the power of word of mouth and people talking about, have you seen the video? Or in this context of social media, sharing a video, viral content, that type of thing. So how can you spread your story? How can you create content that people don't just want to talk about because they enjoy, but people want to go to the length of sharing? Because that's promotion that you don't necessarily have to pay for when people naturally and organically share things. Yeah, that's something, yeah, I would know a lot more about that.
Yeah, Facebook's a shit for doing that. Like, there's a thing now, I don't know if you know, but I tell all my artists and my bands that you can just like a page, don't mean it's going to come up in your newsfeed. You have to follow the page for it to come up. And then with Twitter, if you @ someone and just talk to them, that's not going to come up in the newsfeed either. You have to put like something before the @. So most people, when they're like promoting stuff, artists, and when they're doing things, so thanks to this website, whatever, they'll put a dot in front of the @ so that it comes up in the newsfeed. And with sponsored posts, I mean, I'm a proper Facebook nerd, and like the analytics fascinate me with all the pages and things, and I can do graphs for days. But what I've found works for me personally, promoting my brand, is I pay £3 for 3 days, and it's not necessarily how much you spend, it's what groups you're targeting. So for me, I would target young men from 18 to 30 into rock and metal music, like certain things on. That's who you get. And then I did that for 3 days, £3, no more, and got 50 submissions in 3 days. And my reach was like tripled compared to what I normally have, and it worked really well. So it doesn't necessarily matter how much you spend. It's what targeting, who you're targeting. Not just they just give you the random, the one option, but you can like pick pages that people like. They like this page; it's got millions of likes. Say you can do that as an artist. If they like Stormzy, do that, and then it will come up as a sponsored post in the left-hand side of the Facebook page, and boom, done. It's a lot easier without even having a PR, So that's another thing you can do. I know it's obviously spending money, but I don't spend any more than £3. And like by the end of the year, my promotion, I probably spent 40 quid. I've got a sticker in the back of my car. Sounds stupid, works. People Google it and wonder what the hell it is. And like bands that, word of mouth is another one for me. Even though I work in PR and obviously it's online, word of mouth and my reputation gets to me clients. So when I went and spoke to George from Mathematics, they asked around about me before they all even started to work with me, and a guy who works at the venue, I think? Yeah, works in his local pub, who I worked for his band before they got signed, and was like, yeah, Steph's great. So you have to have the reputation, and you can't if you tarnish that, you're completely screwed. Even online. Like if you post something, oh, this is really funny, and it's like racist or it's, sexist or something, people are not going to remember you for anything else but that post.
There was a band I was working with from Cardiff, and I loved them, and I pushed them, and I didn't just get them gigs with us, I got them gigs in the Welsh Club, and I got them a gig in Wrexham. And then their bassist posted a horrifically anti-Semitic meme. Done. I emailed every venue owner that I know, a screenshot of it, and now they can't get booked. And they had to kick him out, and they're struggling to get booked because still their reputation is done, because it was so bad it made me want to be sick in my mouth, the things this meme that he posted. So that's it. You don't be so careful. Obviously, don't post those things anyway. It's gross and you shouldn't feel that way. But if somebody, don't even like it if it pops up in your feed, because that pops up in other people's feeds. And I went through that meme and I looked at everyone that had liked it and I was like, done with you. Goodbye.
the online version of word of mouth is blogs, and everyone underestimates blogs. Do you agree? And especially for grime and hip hop, especially male grime and hip hop, a mainstream good blog is like Pigeons and Planes. If you can get someone to write up about your like flavor, your brand, your music on Pigeons and Planes, your following will just come in. And I was at Amplify as well, like Steph was saying. I was listening to Annie Mac talk, who's obviously legend, and she was talking about her passion and that, and she was saying, like, in answer to your question, if you don't have your brand, your following, everything like set up and ready, if she gets your song and she loves your song, she was saying to us that she's gonna, because she cares, she's gonna take the time and to look into you, and she's gonna know that if you're not set up and she plays your awesome song, you're gonna be a one-hit wonder. It will end up ruining your career because you're not set up ready for your music to reach those people, because those people won't be able to find you, they won't believe in you, they won't follow you, and it'll just kill your career as well. In my opinion, it's more important than it should be, because we love music and we're passionate about it. We don't want to be sitting in front of a camera like trying to look hot, do you know what I mean? But social media is like a massive thing. And again, just because I think it's really important, I'm from Warrington, which is like land of Kerry Katona, like a proper like little town. And it was instilled in all of us studying music, like if you want to make it, you have to go to London. And I moved to London when I was like quite young, and been there like 7 years now. And it's now at the end of the year I'm going in the studio to do like my first like debut album. And now that it's time for me to like do it and get creative, I'm having to remove myself from London, because I can't be creative in London because it's so hard to survive in London and like pay your rent and do this and do that. Like I was saying about weaknesses into strengths, you don't understand the strength you have living around a town like Newport, the time you have on your hands, how cheaper things are. You've got more soul. People are so bothered with being so arty that their music is lacking in soul in London. I know that's really like out there to say, but in my opinion, it's true. And you just have an upper hand. You've got more time. It's like the hare and the tortoise, isn't it? You can literally just sneak right up on them. And the internet, social media, blogs is an amazing way. Like Mark was saying, you can work with someone in Chicago via the internet. Do you know what I mean? If you've got a good microphone and a good setup. But yeah, look into blogs.
Blogs get so many more hits than websites. Like seriously, like that, most of my contacts now are blogs, students who are just running a blog as like, you know, as part-time thing. And I've noticed the press lists over the last 2 or 3 years at big festivals have moved from 10 people going for Kerrang, 10 people going for Rock Sound, you know, all the big outlets, to YouTubers, to bloggers, to if you get a YouTuber on side, or even in your music video, all of their followers are going to want to listen to you. Do you know what I mean? Like, they are the key of being able to get heard before you get anybody like me involved. Like, it's a gimmick, yes, but like, how many artists do you see that have to do a featured track with someone before they get known? You know, Tiny Temper's one, he's done features with so many different people, and then they all go huge afterwards, you know? And I think that's another good thing to get involved with, and just be careful online, like, please. I know I sound like a proper mum, but I am a mum. But yeah, be careful. Your reputation is everything, even the context you're writing things in. Like, I mean, I had a band contact me, this is like proper bad. And I thought, they're great, they sound amazing. They were called Eugenics. Does anybody in here know what eugenics means? Nope, I had absolutely no idea. It means that they all love Hitler. Yep, I had no idea, because I never knew what it was. So unless you Google it, and you're in our, you know, I'm only 30, like, it's really bad. And the guy was like, no, it's not about that, it's not about that. Turns out the guy in the band was a full-on believer, one of them, and the rest of the band had no idea. So they left and went off and did their own thing. But Google things before you decide to have names of it, like name yourself as well, just in case anybody else has that as well. And trademark everything.
That's it. So I know we're getting to the time now where I want to kind of open the floor up to questions as well. But I think everything that's been said today kind of reiterates, especially what Grant was saying this morning on the Working with Creative People panel, about how much homework you can do yourself now and researching and having a look at what works for people who you respect. And I always say to, like, 'cause I've done a bit of stuff in music education, so often like the artists are like, yeah, just starting 18, 19. And I find as an exercise, thinking about who you would like to be the support for, who would be the 3 artists that would play above you, that you'd be first on, that you think their audience would get you as well. And that'll probably give you 3 artists of slightly different scales. Like one might be 2 notches above you, one might be 4 notches above you, the other one might be the superstar. And by working out who they are, who are your relevant target audience that you're aiming for, then you can start to drill in a bit deeper into what they did to promote themselves and what worked. Because that's what you want to do. You want to borrow, steal, what is working for them, because you know that's actually reacting with their target audience. And if their target audience is the same as your target audience, then you're kind of going, right, okay, that's where I need to be. I always say it's like, if you know your target audience spends a lot of its time looking here, don't put your music over there, because they're looking over here, that's probably going to go past them. So it's just that homework. And it was interesting because Grant used the word research, and we do a document that I've delivered for Global as well called the Artist Health Checklist, and it's like 3 pages of what we call the minimum prerequisites that you need to think about before you approach the industry, which is why I thought it was interesting, that question as well, about what needs to be in place before you approach the industry. And it's more just about 3 pages of shit that you need to think about. You don't necessarily have to have it all on point before you go, because otherwise you'd never do anything. Yeah, you're going to have to start moving forward. But it's things to have an awareness of. And we kept the one column as research, because it sounds as dry as, it sounds really boring. But unfortunately, you're building a business. And you wouldn't open a baker's in a random shop and then look around and kind of go, oh, there's 4 other bakers next door to me and they've all been here 200 years. Oh, I wish I'd have known that before I did it. You wouldn't do that if you were a baker's. So don't do it as a business. Know who your market is. And then, like I say, what we're getting at is knowing the tools to actually take your product to market, effectively and cheaply. Because when you are being self-employed businesses, as so many of you are now, as you're starting off, you've got to know how to most effectively take your art, which is also your product, and get it out in front of as many people as you can who are going to care enough to start turning it into money for you, because that's the real key. So, any questions for the guys now? Because I'm sure you've got loads over the course of the day, because I think quite a lot of the stuff from this morning will probably be, everybody's capable of asking here.
Target audience, grime, especially with the grime scene now. We've got channels like Link Up TV and Grime Daily, for example. When you're looking at target audience, how then do you make the music you want to make and still put it within that kind of, within those channels, still getting your target audience alongside with everybody else? Because if everybody else is looking for that type of target audience, then how does your music stand out the most out of everybody else if everyone else is doing the same thing?
Your target audience is people who will love what you do.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're trying to do what you think other people will love, and you f yourself over, because then you're not being authentic. Like Brad said about I'll brew that and put that hop in, and then suddenly everybody will buy it, and they do it, and then kind of go, why's no buying it? Yeah. Your generation smells fake. I'm old. I can't get turned over more. But like your generation smells fake a mile off. And if it's not real, and it's not your art, and it's not your passion, people know. So if you start to bastardise or water down your art with the view to trying to find a particular audience, you should make your art and then find out where the audience is for that art. Might be smaller, but it's your audience.
It's like, know how your mum and your nan always fall for things?
You know, like your mum and your nan, they always fall for things on Facebook, like share this and win a caravan, right? Your generation don't fall for that. Yeah, Weatherspoons aren't selling poppies, exactly, right? Your mum and your nan, they're falling for that, right? But you're the generation that grew up with the fakeness of the internet. So your generation, like Mark said, are way better at smelling out fakes. You can see them coming, and the people that you want to buy your records will see you coming if you're fake. Like, back when I was making music, it was a lot easier because people didn't have this whole fake lifestyle on the internet. We didn't have The Only Way is Essex and Made in Chelsea and all these horrific fake lifestyles shoved in our faces. So it was harder to smell a fake, but your generation are well trained in spotting what's real and what's not. So it's even more important to stay real. Otherwise, you're just another fucking dickhead from this way. It's The Only Way is Essex or whatever it's called.
Oh my God, I forgot what I was going to say now because you made me mad.
The only thing I would say about something like a Grime Daily is just check what the minimum quality is to be on something like that. So it's not the content of what the video is, but the production quality has to be a certain level from the one to put it on the channel. So don't be limited by your ideas, but do make sure you're getting the minimum spec of what you need to actually qualify to actually be posted.
You know, earlier we were talking about like how to get noticed. Like, if you want, you can get a bigger audience by doing a gimmick. Like, you know, you can get on Lad Bible and do something, and then everybody knows who you are because of that one thing. So it is difficult to be that person because, I mean, I watched a band at Slam Dunk this year called I Prevail, and they did a cover. It's like Punk Goes Pop. They do this every year with different bands on Rise Records in America, and they blow up purely by doing the cover online on YouTube. And it really bugged me that the band were amazing live. They sang all of their new songs for their debut album, which was really good. And they got annoyed about the fact they had to play the cover. It's like, mate, that song made you. Like, you have to bear in mind that if that gimmick is what made you, you're going to have to do it forever.
Yeah, so don't do anything you don't.
So don't do anything that you don't want to do is what I'm getting at, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because you're just going to have to do it all the time.
Don't do a Katy Perry cover unless you want to spend the rest
Yeah.
of your life covering Katy Perry. I'd watch that.
Cool. Anybody else? Any more questions? Any more questions? We all done? Oh, hold on.
A lot of like, I want to try and get like performing elsewhere other than South Wales, but like a lot of the websites and stuff, they say like, oh, you need to bring 20 people with you and things like that. It's like, I can't even get my best friends to come to my gigs. Like, do you think like, oh, just keep pushing at it and like, just eventually you build things and, yeah. Yeah.
So you have to have this many people coming, otherwise you're not going to get any money.
Yeah.
Other places won't do that.
The answer to that is something we've always done in the punk world more, is gig swaps. So you find someone from Newcastle that has a similar musical scene to you, and you message them and you say, come stay in my house, I'll put you on in Newport. And then you approach a venue and you organise a gig, and in return, you go stay at their house and they put a gig on in Newcastle. You build a network of performers who know promoters in the area. Gig swaps. It's the way the punk community's always worked, is gig swaps. Just message someone and say, hey, I really, really like your music. I'm in Newport. Do you want to come play? Yeah. Just build a community of performers. That's the beauty of the internet. Just approach people all over the country. Just, hey, come play in Newport. And then by doing that, you not only build yourself a larger tour circuit, you build the Newport scene. Because you will be the person that like, oh, she's putting a gig on again. Last time she had these people from Liverpool and they were amazing. And then you will become, you might not want to be a promoter, but for a short while, it comes back to what I said earlier about the fact I still clean the toilets. For a short while, you've got to be a promoter. So, gig swaps.
When you get to play it elsewhere, that person that you're playing with could explode next week. You know? And then they always remember the people that were there at the beginning. Like Mallory Knox and While She Sleeps, the first band that I interviewed when I worked for my old website I used to work for, and they still now recommend my PR company to other people. you know? So I'm just saying in that respect is that, you know, gig swaps is the way forward. Like, bands will get all together and do the whole thing, and that's how they get different gigs. But, you know, make friends, be nice to those people that you're on tour with as well. Like, they're the people that are going to help you out in the future.
Never burn a bridge.
Absolutely. Network, collaboration, make friends, be nice. So, if there's no more questions, then I'd just like to say again, thank you for Brad, to Sam, to Ben, to Steph, and to Sam. And there's all their contact details. So if you take a snapshot of their contact details if you need to get their emails so you can do them.